Alright, this thing on? Yeah. Oh, smudge it up a little bit. Greasy fingers. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host this evening, Aaron. This is going to be a little solo episode, kind of catch everybody back up on where we were at with our discussion on aliens with the podcast. We kind of took a little bit of a break from it because it started to get really nice outside, and we were like, yeah, we got to get outside. It's a real spiritual experience being outside. I say it all the time if you watch the show, so it's probably irritating as shit to hear it all the time, but it really is, and I'm sorry, I'm passionate about it. It's something I never thought I would be passionate about, is going outside. Furthest thing from my mind. But I've noticed also as I've gotten a little bit older that I've kind of started to revert to some of the things that I liked to do when I was a little kid. And one of those things that I did like to do when I was a kid most of the time was go outside. And I spent a lot of time outside with my dad. We did a lot of fishing, a lot of hiking, a lot of camping. I mean, lots of fun stuff. So it's great to get out and do that every once in a while. And, you know, it's been a solid month and a half, 2 months since we've even talked about aliens on the show. So I figured that I would go ahead and shoot this episode as kind of a catch-up, and we'll get everybody back on track with where we were at with the show. And that was actually with, I'll put my glasses up. I can't wear these while I'm shooting it this close to the computer because all you get to see is like a white ball and you can't see no eyes, and that's maybe post-production once I figure out what filter that is. Anyway, and that race of aliens was the Nordic aliens that we were going to be talking about next. So I'm going to try to break this down into as simplest of terms as that I can, for people that have, you know, been in conspiracy theories for a long time and discussions of the like, even in like starseed theory. If you know what starseed theory is, more power to you. If you don't, then stick around. It's going to get talked about probably sooner rather than later, because the way the world is shaping up, it's a discussion that probably needs to happen a lot sooner rather than later. So, where was I going with this? Yeah, ADHD. See, this is great. Yeah. Where was I going with this? Nordic aliens. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-ba, ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Hold up. Okay, well, sorry about that. Completely lost what the heck I was thinking about. At any rate, starseed theory, then you know a little bit about, you know, some about Nordic aliens. I mean, and then mostly it's also, of course, it's a theory. Most of it is theory, and it's, what's the word that what I have written down here in my notes says? Let me scroll down and find it again. That excuse me. Evidence for Nordic aliens is largely experiential testimony, personal accounts, rather than physical or sensor-based. So a lot of what you hear about Nordic aliens isn't something that like has always necessarily, look at this kind of thing, if I think is what that is trying to say. So a lot of it is like what people have dreamed about, what people have, you know, projected to see, what people have remote viewed, which is actually going to get talked about in this episode because it's part of the Nordic aliens, part of aliens in general. It's kind of an interesting little thing, little tidbit, and involves the CIA. Disclosure, this is just for entertainment purposes only, if you know what I mean. That this all conjecture. Like, you can't take me seriously. It's just to promote discussion and healthy ideas and debates, and to maybe figure out what the truth is, because that's a really big passion of mine, is finding the truth. I don't care what it is. I just want to know what it is, because it's an all-consuming fire. If you know, you know. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. So, let's start off with like a basic description of Nordic aliens. Typically, they're like 6 to 7 feet tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. Okay, so if you hear the term Aryan alien, then this is the race of aliens that they are actually referring to, the Aryan race of aliens, not Aryan race like Adolf Hitler, because that motherfucker. Anyway, long story short, this is the race of aliens allegedly that Hitler was in collusion with in World War II. That's where the some of their technology was supposed to have come from, was from this race of aliens, because they allied themselves with Hitler, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, you still can't really explain where their technology came from, because they were pretty well advanced. They were really well advanced for their tech. Their ships were also, their battleships were really nice. They had really good tech. I'm just saying they were pretty well advanced, and maybe that's just the drive of what one man who has got a whole nation swayed, for lack of a better term. Got the sheep, got the wool over. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but basically everyone's fooled. He's got all these people fooled, and maybe that's just the drive of what one man can do if he's got everybody fooled for a whole nation of people. Maybe. At any rate, they're also referred to in some accounts as Pleiadians, which, if you know anything about starseed theory, then you know that that's kind of both a yes and a no. They could be considered Pleiadian because there are maybe Nordic alien races in the Pleiadian star cluster, but if you know starseed theory, then Pleiadian is also its own race of alien, which they're going to get covered also at some point. Probably going to be after this race, just because they're mentioned. They kind of go hand in hand, so it makes sense kind of run them back to back. But they're a recurring motif in UFO and contactee literature. So they are around quite a bit. Not so much after the 70s. They're still around, but they don't manifest coming around in ships, from what I've gathered. They seem to be more just randomly somebody runs into them on the side of the road, which is kind of funny if you think about it, because in Norse mythology, Odin was often said to walk around in disguise as a beggar, or a really poor wandering man, and would travel, and when he would happen upon a house, sometimes he would stop in and see if they would let him stay and feed him for the night, because he'd been traveling for so long. And it was rumored that if they said yes, then he would enter the house and speak with them for the night, stay the night, and then when he would leave, he would bless the house, and that house would know abundance until forever. Basically, that's how the story goes, which, if we look at it like that, and then not look at it like that, but if we, keep that in mind, it tracks. But they're almost always benevolent or peaceful. They don't, sorry, brain fart. They don't always they don't really show up with any kind of threatening fanfare. I've never really seen a whole lot of that. I have, heard some theories about how the narrative kind of shifted on them after the 70s, but that kind of ties into a little bit further into my notes, but goes along with the Greada Treaty, which we talked about in our Gray Alien episode. I'm pretty sure it was part 1. It wasn't part 2. It was part 1, because that was the episode I went way overboard on the post-production sound effects. So if you made it through that and you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you a lot. I'm a work in progress. But yeah, they're really benevolent or peaceful. They're portrayed often as being concerned with ecology, spirituality, or world peace, which, I mean, hey, sounds about right up my alley. I'm not gonna lie, because I care about people and I care about the planet. Other than that, if it falls into those two guidelines, then I'm all about it. If it doesn't, then it's a waste of time. For real. I care about people, care about the planet. Those are the only two things you need to do. Care about people, care about the planet. You do that, and the rest of the world will, not rest of the world, but that would be great. If everybody did that, then a lot of problems would be solved. Personal opinion, of course. They're also rumored to communicate telepathically with the human witnesses. They don't really verbally communicate. They just, and they beam a message into your brain, and then you get to go. while you're trying to comprehend somebody is speaking to you with their brain and not their mouth, because that's not really something that humans typically do down here, if you know what I mean. So imagine if you've never done anything meditative or haven't ever thought about trying to exercise your brain with telepathic things, telekinesis or anything like that, and you just see a 7 foot tall, blonde haired, blue eyed Scandinavian looking mofo come up to you and be like, and you're just like, your brain would melt. I mean, it would just melt. Imagine if you were not prepared for that. And obviously I don't know a whole lot about the whole telekinetic stuff, but if we were to maybe believe the movies, then I would wager that since the mind is like a muscle, if you were to strain it too hard, you would get severe nosebleeds, like they always say in the movies. It's just like, just pouring down out their nose. Like, it's so gross, but that's probably pretty realistic. I'm not gonna lie, that looks like it would be right. You're flexing it too hard and it just rips. I could see that. Now, earlier popularization, I swear I can read, came from George Adamski. Adamski is how it's spelled, so I'm going to say Adamski, in the 1950s, who claimed contact with such beings, the Nordic race. Reports were especially common more in mid 20th century Europe, but they declined as like gray aliens became the motif, which is, the dominant UFO archetype. That's like in the 70s. So it's kind of funny that it's like that until the gray aliens become the dominant archetype. So the gray aliens are the race that is alleged to have signed a treaty with Truman. Yeah, I believe it's Truman. With Truman. Yeah. For the Greada Treaty, which was like, we will give you advanced weaponry in exchange for doing experiments basically on humans. That's essentially what this treaty is alleged to have said. And allegedly we agreed to it, and that's why we are always ahead on our weapons technology. Again, this is alleged, of course. There's no proof. Alleged. But, so, it's also alleged that around this time in the 50s, around the time of the Greada Treaty, that we were approached by Nordic aliens, and that they offered technology that would solve all of the world's problems in exchange for total nuclear disarmament. Now, allegedly we refused that one. And it's just funny, 20 years after that happens, in the timeline of this theory, that the Nordic aliens kind of just, they don't disappear, but their appearance in public is like, and it's just not non-existent, but it's very, very behind the scenes. It's very subtle. And you could maybe attribute that to, if you track with starseed theory, you could attribute that to they got a lot of work to do, especially right now. If you're following that, then you know what I mean. That could be why, because they've been preparing for X amount of time. Who knows? It's anybody's guess at this point, and maybe we won't know for a while. But I kind of feel like we're gonna know something sooner rather than later. I mean, that's just a gut feeling, I guess. That's what my senses tell me, for lack of a better term. But at either rate, they remain one of the most recognizable archetypes in UFO lore, mostly because of their connotations that, they were alleged to have been allied with Hitler, Aryan humanoid aliens, which is it's more accurate than just calling them aliens. They're like Aryan humanoid. I mean, they're tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed. That is what Hitler said is like the perfect German. And I mean, it's the perfect German, but you're basing it on an alien. That is just so freaking hysterical. I mean, either way, I highly doubt that's the case, because that doesn't really track with how they are alleged to act at all. I don't think if it is, it's a rogue sect, we could say, but I don't think it's the whole race. You know what I mean? It can't be. If it was something that happened, it couldn't be. It's just completely opposite. Sometimes you just hear something and go, yeah, no. And you don't have to, sometimes you don't have to investigate it. You just know it's hogwash. Like, there's no way it is. You know, you can smell the BS. But, you know, the narrative kind of shifted in the 70s, and that was after we refused to kind of do the treaty with them on nuclear disarmament, you know, they give us tech for nuclear disarmament. They kind of tapered off in the 70s, and they got really behind the scenes. And some of the narratives after that changed too, to being kind of a little bit crappier. Again, it's not always good, of course. The alleged alien encounters, a good chunk of them are not that fun to probably think about at all. I mean, it doesn't sound that bad, but until it's actually happened to you, you have no clue. Either way, the terror that you're feeling, whatever the hell is going on to you, is probably just unreal if you don't know any better. So I imagine that just getting swooped up by one of these guys was just like, what can you do? But it was also alleged that they did some abductions in alliance with the Greys, but again, that's just only a couple of different places I've looked at have said that. There's not a whole lot of evidence to support that at all. Again, it's just a theory. So what was funny though was, while I was digging around looking at some stuff to talk about for Nordic Aliens, one of the things that came up was an article on express.com, and it was about a declassified file from about 25 years ago, CIA declassified file. Humanoid-like life was discovered on the moon, and it was not friendly. Yeah, not at all. It is an interview with Ingo Swann. We learned basically that he believed the government had already known that there was life on Mars, and that there was Mars. That there was, it'd be awesome if there was life on Mars. There was life on the moon, that they allegedly already knew that there was life on the moon, and that's why they were having him remote view. That's basically what he was supposed to do with the CIA. He was a remote viewer. You can take that however you will, because remote viewing has been shown to be pretty accurate, in my opinion, and it has been shown to be something that you can do with practice, and that is not something that you even need to be spiritual about to do it. You can not be spiritual about it at all, and just meditate to that state of mind and then be able to do that. That's something that they've been, according to this, have been training people to do for a while. And I know of people that train themselves to do it. Maybe not on that scale of like being able to go to the moon, but it's something that can be done. So, but still, take it with a grain of salt, because everything is always over sensationalized, and for all you know, everything that you see around is just a psyop to get you to, basically just to influence the way that you think. That's what a psyop is. Influence the way that you think about things. The choice is still ultimately yours, but it's just to help influence the way that you think. And when you start looking at everything that goes on like that, you kind of start really questioning everything, and you should question everything. That's why this show exists, because that's why I'm doing it. I've got questions and I want them answered. So, but here in a minute, I will give you some of the books that are written. Actually, I'll just go ahead and do that now, because I don't really need to cut it. But so George Adamski wrote 2 books. One was Flying Saucers Have Landed, and Inside the Spaceships is the other one. And then Howard Menger, who is also another abductee, wrote From Outer Space to You. And then Travis Walton wrote The Walton Experience, which is one of the other main popular books that is written about it. yeah. So you could also take into consideration that a lot of cultural historians note that there's influence from the 1951 film The Day the Earth Stood Still, which featured a benevolent humanoid extraterrestrial, which obviously that movie's been remade since then. I have not seen the remake, so I don't know how it compares. I know that this movie, even though it was made in 1951, of course, I was like, I think freaking 10 or 11, maybe 12 when I watched it, so I was just like, when I watched it, The Day the Earth Stood Still, who'd have thought that the Earth could stand still? Like, that was my whole thing as a kid, so. But, really a big chunk of Nordic alien narratives is it's more part of a living myth in UFO belief systems. They're really more tied to themes of spiritual growth and protection, which it tracks. It does with a lot of, obviously, I'm going to believe that, but it tracks with a lot of Norse mythology. Odin was a pretty bad guy, not going to lie. I mean, overall, he was pretty violent. They were all kind of violent. Let's just be real. They were all violent. And I say they, and I mean, now we're gonna get ready to really branch off on a rabbit trail, because that was probably gonna happen either way. But I have this theory, really, that it's something that me and a couple of my friends have discussed for about the past year and a half, maybe 2 years now, and I kind of really buy into it. Perhaps a little bit more than I should, but it's a theory nonetheless, that pretty much every pantheon that we have, the Greeks and the Norse, maybe that they're all essentially they're all the same, not all tied together, but maybe all the same. You can see some similarities between all of the gods of each pantheon. You could even see some of the similarities between some of the gods of the Norse pantheon and some of the old gods that are in the Old Testament of the Bible, like Baal. Baal, if you really look at the Sumerian description of Baal, he fits the description of Thor also. That comes from a friend of mine. I'm pretty sure I got that right. If not, buddy, fact check me, but I'm pretty sure that's what you told me. So, and you can see some similarities with even Thor and Zeus, which doesn't necessarily track, because Thor is not necessarily the head of the Norse pantheon. Zeus is supposed to be the head of the Greek pantheon. So, but I mean, that all depends on which accounts you want to take into consideration when you're reading on all of these mythologies. But they're all different facets of maybe this race of aliens right here. And if you believe that Atlantis was a thing, then maybe Atlantis is also another warring faction of this race of aliens. They're all brothers from the Anunnaki. No. Yeah, that microphone did not pick that up at all. The Anunnaki. There we go. I had to drop my throat. It looks kind of silly with this beard. But really, the fact that they're really tied to themes of spiritual growth and protection speaks a lot to me, because obviously I'm going to believe that. I've got Thor's hammer there, and then I've got that there. I've got a lot of Viking tattoos, I guess, is lack of a better term, and I don't really know what to think about it. I believe that this is just it's a symbol of protection. Either way, just the shape is the protection. It's not necessarily even that it's because it's Thor's hammer. It's just because of the shape. And also, that's just like this. This is a sacred shape, a variation of a sacred shape. I have a triquerta right here. I'm not gonna show that one, because that's too much shirt. I'm not taking that off. Sorry. But that's another sacred shape. And if we look at it like that, then we look at how all of these symbols for most of these gods, for lack of a better term, well, at least that's the way we'll describe them as, even though I'm not necessarily referring to them as such and believe it, then if they're using that these symbols are sacred shapes, then it has a much deeper spiritual connotation to it, because if you meditate and you meditate with frequencies, then, each frequency, if you were to put it on like a generator that vibrates instead of just plays the frequency, then you will get certain shapes. And some of these shapes are, coinkadinkly really similar to some of the symbols that you would find for gods and goddesses around the world. And, it's like, okay, so what are they really trying to say? I read one quote. I cannot remember the gentleman's name, so I'll have to find it and post it and put it in here. But when they wrote what they were trying to write when it came to matters of spirituality, they were afraid to speak literally in the fear that they would be taken symbolically. So they spoke symbolically, and we were stupid and took them literally. Or, that's definitely not how it goes, but that's how I say it. That's how I say it. We were dumb and we took them literally. Maybe we did. I don't know. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. We're gonna find out sooner rather than later. But spiritual growth and protection, I feel like that's a pretty good track. I have a really close connection, I feel like, with Odin. So, but that whole mythology is fascinating to read. It is. You can look at it, and if you believe that maybe they were aliens, and you can see that, Gungnir, which is the spear of destiny, the one that Odin has, and then Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer, are maybe they're, sentient weapons, or they are like biometric sentient weapons. So they will only react and respond with sentience to Thor's DNA, which would mean that anybody with Thor's DNA would probably be able to carry Mjolnir. Only those who are worthy of Thor may carry his hammer. So, if we look at it, saying worthy of Thor can also be interpreted as being from Thor, not just like, well, worthy of Thor. What is worthy of Thor? Well, what is more worthy of Thor than having been born from Thor? You know what I'm saying? So maybe if we look at it like that, and we believe that it's a biometrically encoded weapon, then Thor and his descendants would all be able to operate Mjolnir. But if anybody else tried to operate it, it's not going to work. It's not going to be able to be picked up. Maybe we shouldn't look at it take it as literally as, Marvel does with their version of Mjolnir, which, this big. Come on, man. But maybe we could. It just, if it was a biometric weapon and it was a pretty hefty hammer and weight, it'd be a pain in the ass to pick up. I'm just saying, a 10-pound sledgehammer with a handle that short is a pain in the ass to pick up for this small dude. And that's just because I'm small. But this small dude has, if you don't really get some oomph into it, you can't pick it up. So I understand. But it's obviously not going to only weigh 10 pounds. That's just a fact. Hey. All right. So, sorry, I took a little break and read my horoscope. Nothing super fancy, just for shits and grins. It's only midnight, and I'm supposed to be awake until 5 a.m. because I work third shift, and I'm already like shits and gins. Don't mind me. It's been a long day. Been a long day. It's been a great day though. Me and the beautiful MC Squared had played Baldur's Gate pretty much all day. Got a little frustrating, but that's okay. That's more my fault than anything. But it was a fun time. I really love playing Baldur's Gate with her. It's a fucking hoot. It's a blast. Yeah, that was pretty much all I really had about Nordic Aliens. A lot of things that I had in there, well, it's all just hearsay, so you gotta take it all with a grain of salt. But it's real fun to try to bounce some theories off of it and, think about the possibilities that could be and see what it tracks with and lines up with. And it was still really ironic that it lines up with that they taper off 20 years after the Guyana Treaty allegedly gets signed, and then all of a sudden they're not really around, or they're around subversively, and they're not really at the forefront. You know, I didn't really know that they really tapered off like that until then. And you know, I have some friends that will tell you that that's, well, some versions of the people that practice the Norse pagan religion will tell you that that's why they haven't been around, is because they just, people don't believe in them anymore, so they stop existing. So, you know, kind of one of the, they were manifested and now they're not, so now they don't, kind of things. I have another friend that believes also that's how, reptilians came to be, is that we thought about them so much that we manifested them into existence. And that's actually a really interesting way to look at it and think about it. If we create the reality by thinking about it, then if we think about negative things all of the time, we attract negative things. Okay, well, I'm not saying that reptilians are negative, because I don't believe that whatsoever. Not all of them anyway. I try not to think of anything that is beyond my comprehension, for lack of a better term, as being negative or positive. It just is, until it makes itself otherwise. That's the best way to look at it. That's the best way to create it. So, but if we are constantly thinking of negative things and we're attracting those negative things, then it would make sense that negative beings would arise and exist out of that breeding ground of negativity. So maybe we just need to stay positive and not dwell on negative things, and it won't be negative. And if you look at the narrative of UFO like interactions and such, you'll notice that it's kind of shifted a lot. This has been mentioned on a couple of other podcasts too, but it's shifted from more of people are seeing ships and actual physical ships and being abducted and being taken up into the sky, or who knows where, to be, you know, anally probed, or whatever it is that they do and such. I know what they do. I'm just not trying to make light of it. It's shifted from, you're not really seeing ships, to where you're just seeing like orbs and like balls of light, which I actually just saw something like that over the top of the trailer about, I'd say 3 weeks ago now. It was very odd. It was very odd. It was not Starlink. I see Starlink all the time in the sky over here for some reason. I know what Starlink looks like. It wasn't Starlink. It didn't even fly really in a straight line. It did a whole little wave like this across the sky, and it acted like what orbs act like, and then it just disappeared. And oh well, maybe it'll happen again. It happens an awful lot. Almost always happens when Orion's like really visible that day. I always see Orion, I see something really crazy happen in the sky later that week or that day or whatever. Call it what you will. Coinky dink, don't know. Probably not. Either way, I want to talk to you before I let you guys go about, you know, if you're not meditating, you should meditate. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but it'd be really good for you to meditate. 15 minutes a day. If you have a hard time focusing and just sitting in silence, just get you a frequency generator and generate the frequencies for the chakras and do it like that. That's the only way I can focus on it long enough to do it, is by zoning out on the tone. Works wonderfully. Any other way, just sitting still outside does not do it. I will fall the fuck asleep if I just sit outside under the tree. I'll be like, yeah, this is great. That's not. I mean, it is meditating to a degree, but it's not at the same time. It's like, I guess technically you can say it is. It's technically trance work if you go. That was funny. I was getting ready to say trance and it was 5:43 on my recording time. Great number. But trance work, you know, also requires you to kind of remember what you're doing in the trance, and that's unfortunate because I hit what is like the trance state in meditation all the time, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing because it just feels like a nap. Like, I'm not even trying to be awful, but like it does. It just feels like a nap. I'll be like, you know, old man pecking wood in the passenger seat after like a good meal at a buffet. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. You know, you just get all done, someone else is driving, you're like, oh, you got like 25 minutes to get home. Next thing you know, your head's bouncing off the window. Like, maybe that's just a me thing, but that's totally happened a couple of times. That's some good food right there. That's also a lot of food. It makes you fall asleep to where you just off that window. It's good food. But yeah, you guys should meditate. It's good for you. It really is. It helps you stay centered, helps you stay focused. And you know what? Meditation doesn't even care what religion you believe in. It absolutely doesn't care what religion you believe in. You can practice meditation in every religion, and it will be beneficial for your spiritual growth and development. See what I mean by I can't talk? For your spiritual growth and development. Doesn't matter. You can incorporate it into praying if you're a Christian, or if you're a preacher and you're going to church, you're getting ready to do your sermon. You need to get into that mindset, get in that mood. You need to get calm before the Lord. That's meditation. That's mindfulness, my man. Like that's a meditative exercise right there, man. Sitting still, be still and know that I am God. That's mindfulness meditation, my friend. You should do it. Just saying. I want to thank you guys for putting up with me for 36-ish minutes by myself. Hopefully I wasn't too scattered for you. Let me know what you think of my Hot Wheels. I decided to show off this corner of it. You can't really see a whole lot of them up close and personal because, I don't want to get yelled at by anybody for sharing imagery that I shouldn't be on. You know how it goes. But hopefully this helps you get caught up a little bit with what we're going to be tracking with next week, when me and Sam go to shoot our next episode. So I will probably be approaching the idea of talking about Pleiadians, and if he tracks with that, then we will be talking about Pleiadians. If not, then we'll find out together. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.